Day I'm hustling, 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 hustling,
It's your
hustling,
boy,
hustling,
Ski.
hustling, 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 hustling.
My bad. All right, let's try that again. Let's try that again. A little rusty, y'all. Welcome back to the Matrix. You're not just in the Matrix, you are the Matrix. How's it feel, Neo? And today we got ourselves a banger daily market news and analysis. What is up, y'all? Make sure you guys are spamming that like button, hitting that share so other people can spam that like button. Let's get this party started. Are we good on TikTok now? Can you hear me now? Good. All right. As first time streaming. Yeah, this is my first time. It's my first time, guys. I'm a little nervous. As of the time of recording, Bitcoin sitting at $93,977.09, 52 cents, 73 cents, 45. Clearly, we've gotten the sign of strength. The big question is, are we going to get a proper back test or not? And I can make the case for either. So I'm going to be honest with you guys. At this moment in time, I'm not in a predictive state of being right now. I was at a predictive state of being when we were at $75,000. I said the bottom's in, boys. We're going to 95K. Well, we're at 95K. So I could make an equal case for both. I sent 500 likes. It's over. Sell your crypto and go back to life. I don't know, bro. I just made... What do we make from 74K? I don't know. 4 or 5 years of stock market gains in 30 days, 20 days. It's over for who? Do you think there's only money to be made if it's up only? We just want to hear about Chainlink. I like Chainlink a lot right now. All right, so listen. I'm going to paint two pictures for you. And I'm going to give you two arguments as to why both would happen. Ultimately, and I'm going to say this. Ultimately, the next macro move is to 118K. All right? Straight up. Ultimately, the next macro move is to $118,000. In the micro, though, is where things get a little bit tricky. Textbook, we would go back to 85, 88K. We would back test this. That would be textbook. Okay? That would be textbook. If that opportunity presents itself, I'm going to be ready. Ski, why is Bitcoin dumping? Because it went from 74K to 95K in a matter of 20 days. That's 4 years of stock market gains. Is it dumping though? Like, is being down 1% dumping after being up 4 years of stock market gains? I don't know. I don't know if I could say that, Maz. Okay, but here you go. So I'm going to outline the two different scenarios as what we have next. Let me start with the macro. Macro, the next move is Bitcoin to 118,000. Macro, the next move is Bitcoin dominance to finally roll over. That's the next macro move. In the micro, however, there are two possibilities. We're either A, we're going to backtest about 88K as low as 85K. If that opportunity presents itself, I will be taking action. And the other option is Bitcoin is boring, boring, boring until it is not. Bitcoin has been suppressed to a point, and we've seen this, right? Just the last breakout that we had back in 2024, it was on a downtrend. We kept making lower lows. We kept making lower highs until we eventually reversed, right? And it started to gruel its way out of here until it didn't. You might be like, well, that's not even the only time. In fact, I would argue this is what Bitcoin does every time. When you do a change, when you go from a downtrend to an uptrend, there's this period of you shift from going boring up until it doesn't. Boring up until it doesn't. So that is the upside right now. We're going to be chopping, and then we're going to just make another move to 118. Or we're going to backtest to 88K, 85K, and then we're going to make a move to 118. Is it sell in May and go away? That is the narrative. That is not one time how I've ever felt. I will not be taking action based off of what month it is. I'll be taking action based off of what my portfolio says. Based off of what the charts say. Based off of how overbought something is. Based off of how oversold something is. It's going down, right? Textbook would tell you yes. However, listen, I'm going to make the argument, and I'm going to just be frank with you guys. I'm not in a predictive state right now. When we were at 74K, I had certainty, I had clarity, I was in a predictive state. I said, the bottom's in, boys. Here's X, Y, and Z. No one believed me. But now, we're at the SOS. Okay? So where are we at? We're at right here. Markdown, selling climax, secondary test in phase B, spring. You move out of here into your SOS. When you're at your SOS textbook, you chop for a little bit. That's what it looks like. What's what we're doing? We're just chopping. The next macro move is to 118K. Video evidence on his mama. The only question is, are we going to get a back test to 88K or not? If we do, listen, hear me. If we get a back test, it's very temporary. And there's now a lot of support. Listen, this is what you got to understand about market shift, market change. Market shift, market change. Okay? All of this now, all of this grueling that we did, remember all that? That we were just doing for the last few months? You guys remember all that? All that just terror and grueling? That's now support. That's now a floor. Okay? So if the opportunity presents itself, I'm not even predicting that it will. Because it's been oversold. It's been beaten down. It's been grueling. That's how crypto moves. It's grueling, grueling, grueling until it's not. It's grueling, grueling, grueling until it's not. It's boring, boring, boring until it's not. If the opportunity presents itself, it will be temporary. It will be very short-lived. You should have your limit orders in now. Okay, but listen, we've had... Bitcoin shows us how it behaves. When you're in the grueling phase, right? Lower lows, lower highs. It's like that until it's not. And once it breaks that, it's very quick. Right? It breaks out quickly and violently. Same thing back in 2022. You're on a markdown. Once you break the downtrend, and it's confirmed that you've broken it, it's violent. Out of there. 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 Okay? Same thing. Every time, I would argue. right? Breaking the downtrend. Once you break it, it's violent out of here. Violent. Everyone thinks they're just going to have an opportunity to load up at the perfect time. Okay. I don't want to FOMO. I don't want to be the Mr. FOMO. But that's not how Bitcoin operates. All right? I'm selling my neighbor's cat to buy more. Bullish. In the medium term, macro term, I am very bullish. Very, very bullish in the medium, macro. Yes. In the micro, I can paint a picture that we're going to get a back test, but it will be very short. Very short-lived. But I'm not predicting it because, listen, I understand Bitcoin, once it finally reverses, it does it violently. This is a reversal, right? You can see this. Let's show it on a cleaner looking chart. All right, we had a downtrend. Everyone understands. We had a downtrend. We have clearly broken out of this downtrend. When Bitcoin does that, it does it violently. I'm not predicting it's going to be like just up only. That's not what I'm predicting. But I'm just understanding how Bitcoin moves. That's it. Because of all the crazy fluctuation, do you think that the bull run will be later than usual? I would argue that's how it is. That's how it's playing out right now. Solnick to Jupiter. Solnick is my number one 100x play, period. Eric, I would argue that's how we're playing out, especially in the altcoins, right? We've had an overextended Bitcoin dominance run. I would argue 100% certainty that is how it has played out. What's the new limit order price set on Bitcoin? I have one at Cole. I have one at 78K. That's the very best case scenario that we're going to get. I don't think we're going to get that, though. The more likely is going to be 88 and 85. I know you already said you made a mistake on DYNX. I think you mean DNX. So I could look at it. 2, does it change the price target? Thanks. No. And the truth is, the lower you go, the higher you launch. Let's look at DNX, because I assume that's what you're talking about. It is definitely very, very close to breaking the downtrend. Very close to breaking the downtrend. And it's starting to round out here. Okay. So I would argue this is the bottoming structure. It hasn't technically done it, and it's faced this a few times, where like Ethereum has already broken it, and I'll bring that up. But this has been on the same skid that Ethereum's been on. But no, the targets though, I do think that this is the beginning of the bottoming structure, and we're probably going to chop for DNX. This is a good spot, though. This is clearly in hindsight distribution. This is clearly your markdown. This is the beginning of your accumulation. And what we're starting to see is a rounding bottom here. Okay? It hasn't technically broke out of the downtrend just yet, but it's very, very close. All it needs to do is just trade sideways for another week, and you could say that this is a break. So I think there's a strong likelihood of this breaking. So yes, I do think that this is a really good value here. Minimum, though, you would expect 85 cents, which would be your retracement. But I do think it could get same prices, $3.50 as high as $5. Yes. I would definitely de-risk at the retracements, though. Why Rose keep dumping? Rose has been a bystander of Ethereum. But I got good news for you guys. Ethereum has broke its downtrend. I would argue Ethereum is getting a back test. Same thing, right? What we just talked about with DNX, it's been on this skid. And Ethereum is the sun for a lot of the altcoins. Whether you like Ethereum or not, that is true. Whether you like Ethereum or not, Ethereum is the sun for a lot of altcoins. Bitcoin is the sun for the entire market. I pay a lot of attention to a Bitcoin because it tells us what we're going to do, right? Ethereum, whether we like Ethereum or not, is the sun for a lot of coins. And there's a lot of different coins in that ecosystem that have really suffered because of Ethereum's lackluster performance, such as Rose, such as Link, such as VeChain, such as a lot of other coins. But Ethereum has cleanly broken out of this downtrend at this point. I do believe it's working on a back test would be in order. But the same thing, like it's boring until it's not. I do believe a minimum move to 3,000. A lot of the coins that are on the ecosystem are going to feel that, such as Rose. Rose has broken the downtrend at this point. Can we check Flux? We'll check Flux. Sonic Alpha. Sonic is... What's the next leg up for Sonic? Sonic's chart is looking really good to me. We're very deep in the staking app. That is almost ready. It needs to get tested. It needs to get audited. I don't want to rush products out to you guys and release a bad product. I will not be doing that. So if I'm late on development, I am late on development. Okay? How long does it take to cook rice? It takes as long as it takes. I would rather be late and have a good product than be early and have a bad product. Okay? But as far as TA goes, we were already in the downtrend and we broke the downtrend. This is now a higher low and another higher low. Again, it's oversold on the RSI at this point. 3 minutes. What good setup for Rose? I think so. I think it is a good setup for Rose, actually. The next leg for Solnic takes us almost north of $40 million market cap. That's just the next micro leg. Ultimately, 7.5 cents by the end of the bull market, or I will shave my beard. Things are looking very good. In a lot of ways, Sonic has outperformed the entire market. It's on top of a lot of support over here. What was resistance now becomes the support. Translation. What was the floor becomes, what was the ceiling becomes the floor. I like where Sonic is at. Very good structure. Technically, fundamentally, developmental-wise. I also, the last time I went to the farm, I did some more shooting for the documentary. So that's looking good. When Mario will tweet about Sonic, how long will he tweet? He's going to do 9 different tweets, and there's 2 more spaces. So he hasn't done any of the tweets yet. Says, I'm buying more Sonic. Thank you, Ski. Sonic is my #1 100x play, period. Can we check Flux? All right, let's check Flux. Is it a good time to buy R-Drum? I do think that R-Drum has bottomed. Flux looks like it's broken the downtrend pretty cleanly at this point. This looks like a clean break. It's a bit over. It's a little bit hot right now in the micro, so we could anticipate a back test. But I do think that this has broken this downtrend that it's been a part of for a little while. Again, same targets, 222 for retracement. Parabolic is $13. Do you think India-Pakistan conflict will affect the markets dramatically? They're apparently starting missile launches tomorrow. It will for a bit, and then it won't. Right? It will for a bit, and then it won't. If anything, that will get us our back test. You know what I'm saying? Crash has a black swan as a profile. That's funny. Cass. I think Cass is bottom. So like if you're gonna argue to me that, you know, that might cause our back test, like sure. But just like back here, the war in Israel, right here, this was the war in Israel. It's a narrative until it's not. And guess what? The war in Israel continued and the price goes higher. So will it cause a little bit of temporary turbulence? Certainly. Let's look at Cass. I think Cass is looking pretty strong. If a random guy blows his nose, it affects the market. That's right. It's so on edge. The market is so on edge with everything. That's such a good point. Like any one tweet could just send it. But yeah, this is a bottoming structure. Clearly, acute selling climax, secondary test, your spring at the 236. Need to update this. I haven't looked at the market cap one in a little while. This is your sign of strength in your back test. This is a pretty clean setup, to be honest with you, for Cass. I think that this is definitely a bottoming structure. Parabolic takes you to about $10 billion market cap. Did I miss some? I hear what you're saying, but the wife's boyfriend says it's different. Thanks for subscribing, Israel Fountain. Thoughts on Bitcoin Cash potential this cycle? Bitcoin Cash typically is a first mover. I do think. What's Bitcoin's price? What's Bitcoin's price, bro? Right now we're at $94,000. We're at the SOS, in my opinion. I'm gonna go make a tweet. XRP $5 to $8. Can we check Ray if you haven't already? Ray has a lot of inflation. What does SOS mean? Okay. Let's do that real quick and then we'll look at Ray. SOS, in a nutshell, signifies that a bottom is in. It's your sign of strength. Okay? And this is why I was so confident at 74K. Video evidence, April 7th, 2025. Go look at the video. It's still up. I said, the bottom's in, boys. There was many of the videos before then. All of this, I was saying that the structure is forming. I kept saying that. I thought that it was probably in. I said, we might get a spring. But I said that the structure was forming. When we got the spring, which is 74,000, that's what that was. I said, the bottom's in, boys. Here's XYZY. Very different tune. Okay? So sign of strength, though, marks, that's what it is. Your sign of strength. That the market is showing strength. Okay? And here's textbook, what I'm talking about. This is a bottoming structure. Mark down. Okay? Mark down. Selling climax, automatic reaction, secondary test. That's phase A of the bottoming structure. Selling climax, automatic reaction, secondary test. Secondary test in phase B goes lower than the selling climax. That is textbook. Secondary test in phase B goes lower than the selling climax. Move to the upside, rule down, big spring, takes it all out. The spring goes lower than the secondary test in phase B. That's the maximum pit of despair. That's the maximum fear. That's the worst of the worst. It always feels the darkest at the best opportunity. And that's what we got. The spring goes lower than the secondary test in phase B. All of that to me is set in stone. This looks like your test, your LPS, and your sign of strength. I said when we were at 75K, 78K, go look at the video, April 7th, 2025. All the videos up there. I said the sign of strength would take us to 95K to 100K. We are here. We are here. Okay? So now that we're at the SOS, I would anticipate some chop. That's what we're getting, by the way. Chop. Chop. Phase E is what we call the bull run. Okay, so that's the next macro phase. I'm not predicting tomorrow. I'm not predicting next week. That's the next macro phase. The markup is what we call the bull run. That will take Bitcoin to 118K. Ski, on my mama, do a XYO breakdown. When will Mario start tweeting about Solnic, and how long will he tweet? He will tweet as soon as we tell him to. There's 9 tweets that he's going to do. Solnic to Jupiter. Solnic is my number one 100x play. Period. Is XRP in reaccumulation too, or distribution? It all looks the same. Okay, XRP's, I'm going to be honest with you, XRP's chart's a little bit fuzzy in that there's different signals. Okay, it's not as clean as Bitcoin. Bitcoin to me is about as clean as you get, right? Bitcoin is as clean as it gets. It doesn't get much, I can't draw it up any better. It don't get much cleaner than that, right? I'm not going to sit here and act like every single chart, every single time, every single hour is clean. That's not true. That's not true. Okay, here's what I'll say about XRP though. XRP has broken the downtrend. I do think that XRP is in reaccumulation like you mentioned. This would be your selling climax and your secondary test. You could get a spring, you might not. Because there's 2 different scenarios. Most of the market is bottoming. So if most of the market, XRP is not going to move separately of the market. We know this to be true. Right? So these are the positive things, the positive structures for XRP. Now, the negative thing that I'm concerned about with XRP is XRP has been the strongest top 100 performer, right? And it's followed this fractal since 2023, right? If you don't know what a fractal is, it's basically this move right here. I pulled the structure from right here, all of this stuff over here, and I pulled it over here. And I have not moved this for literal years, and it's been following it to a T, as you can see. Literally the same moves, the same time we broke out everything. Okay? At some point, it will break from this fractal. It's not going to follow it forever, right? At some point, it's going to break from the fractal. Someone, when I brought this up in my comments the other day, they made a valid point too. It's older, it's more mature, right? So this is more retail. These big blow-off tops is not healthy distribution, right? Everyone wants a straight line up, but when you get a straight line up, this is how it reacts, right? And so what we've seen is like this didn't go as violently, right? The move was higher for sure. So you would anticipate for every yin, there's a yang. You would anticipate less of a down correction. So I think that there's some merit to that. I personally think that it's bottomed, and confirmation is going to be 260. However, there is if it continues to follow the fractal, we would go back to $1. Now, many of you know I accumulated a lot of my XRP 20 cents, 30 cents in that range. And then I sold 40% of my XRP at $3.33 publicly. Video evidence, documented. Everyone said I was crazy. But what about Swift and blah, blah, blah. Here we are. Now, this is what I'm going to say. If the opportunity presents itself and we continue to follow the fractal with XRP and we get back to $1, I will be adding to my spot position on XRP again. If we do not, if we break from it, and this is the bottoming structure, like I think is the most plausible outcome right now, I will just continue to de-risk at $5, $8, and $12. I will hold about 20% forever. All right? That's my plan with XRP. Feel free to copy it. Do so at your own risk. I'm a guy in my basement. I get things wrong. So there you go. That is my analysis on XRP. It's not, to wrap it up and put a bow on it, it's not as clean as Bitcoin. There is mixed signals with XRP. So we'll just see what the market leads. And my outlook on XRP is I have a plan if it breaks out. I have a plan if it comes back. So do you think XRP will go up soon? I do. 260 is going to be confirmation that we have broke from this fractal. And I think that Bitcoin certainly has bottomed, right? That's what the SOS is. That's the bottoming. This is confirmation of a bottom. Yes, indeed, it has bottomed. Right? That's what that means. When will altcoins go parabolic? When Bitcoin dominance. All right, let's talk about Bitcoin dominance. Let's bring it back. Okay, so I'm going to overlay. Let's do Bitcoin on the bottom here. I feel like I had a better, cleaner chart here. That's okay. This will be all right. All right. I'm going to set this up real quick for you guys. So you guys are going to get a master class. Take notes, class. Turn your text to page 37. All right. Now, on the bottom is Bitcoin. On the top is Bitcoin dominance. Okay. This is distribution. Also, this was distribution. What am I talking about? Distribution is how you measure a top. Then you get your markdown. Your markdown. Accumulation is the bottoming structure. In accumulation, you get, we'll do it simply. We're not going to do crazy on it. You get a selling climax and you get a secondary test. For sure, you get those. Sometimes you get a spring, which this time we did. The secondary test textbook goes lower than the selling climax, and the spring textbook goes lower than the secondary test. All right, that's what we got with Bitcoin. Okay? So this is the yin. This is the yang. The UTAD is the reverse of a spring. The buying climax is the reverse of a selling climax. All right, I'm going to show it to you in textbook. You have accumulation is a bottoming structure. Distribution is a topping structure. Okay, let's go to textbook. Turn your text to page 37 and you'll see the diagram. Selling climax, secondary test, spring. Okay, that's a bottoming structure, and let's show you the topping structure. Buying climax, up thrust goes higher than the buying climax. UTAD goes higher than the up thrust. Okay, why am I talking about all this? Because Bitcoin has a bottoming structure, clean. At the same time, Bitcoin dominance is right here, reverse. Okay, in my opinion. So this is the spring right here. UTAD textbook is the reverse of a spring. So yin yang, balance. Distribution. UTAD is the reverse of a spring. Up thrust goes higher than the buying climax. UTAD goes higher than the up thrust. That is textbook. What do we have? Buying climax, up thrust goes higher. UTAD goes even higher. So the question is, when alt season, we have stipulations. We have the formula. We have the setup. What is the setup? Bitcoin has bottomed. Check. Bitcoin is going to make a leg higher. That looks like it's a check. Bitcoin dominance for the last 2 years has been on a straight line off the Valhalla and is finally starting to show signs of weakness. What we need is this to be confirmed as a UTAD. In order to confirm it as a UTAD, we need to take out 63.62%. And then it's not going to be, listen, it's not going to be like this. That's what everyone wants. That's not going to happen. What it's going to look like if this is confirmed as the UTAD, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to be frank. It's going to look like this. And then it's going to go. Okay? So answer your question. Bitcoin has the setup to make another leg higher. 118 is my next macro. Not tomorrow, not next week. Macro target. Let me say it again because you guys have the bandwidth and the time horizon of a straw sometimes. Macro target is $118,000. What we need is Bitcoin dominance to continue this structure that it is working on, which is distribution. Now, I want to point our attention because someone was asking about XYO, and that's a good example. Most of the altcoins, while this is happening, while this is transpiring, while this is taking place, most of the altcoins have this setup right here. What is the setup? Let's talk about it. All right, so on the top, we're going to do Bitcoin. One sec, let's set it up. Turn your text to page 37. Masterclass. Take notes. All right, so listen, to recap, Bitcoin is working on accumulation. Firmly in accumulation, deeply in accumulation, right? Bitcoin dominance is working on distribution. These two things are happening simultaneously. Okay? Now we're going to build on this. The building blocks of life. Okay? On the top, I have Bitcoin from 2013 through 2017. Why am I showing this? Because 80% of the altcoin market right now, not now, but right now, not now, but right now, looks exactly like this. All right, we'll do ADA on the in the middle. All right. We'll do ADA in the middle. And we'll do XYO. It doesn't matter. I don't care about the coins. What I want you to pay attention to is the structure. We're teaching about structure. Because I don't want to be your fisherman. I don't want to fish for you. I want to teach you how to fish, and you go fish for yourself. And we'll feast together. Okay? That is my goal. I don't want to be anybody's savior. That's not my goal. I don't want to be anybody's savior. I'm not the savior. I'm not the Messiah. He already came. I want to teach you how to fish. All right? Now, on the top is Bitcoin. In the middle is ADA. On the bottom is XYO. Does not matter about the coin. It matters about the structure. To recap, if you're just joining, we already went over Bitcoin is working on deeply in accumulation confirmation. Simultaneously, while this is happening, Bitcoin dominance is working on distribution. Simultaneously, while this has happened, most of the altcoins have this set up right here. Everything, everywhere, all at the same time. Now, this is macro analysis. Say it with me, class. This is macro analysis. This is not tomorrow. This is not next 5 minutes. This does not mean go 100x long. This is macro analysis. Is everyone clear as to what type of analysis is this? Someone say it in the comments. What type of analysis is this? This is macro. We're not talking micro. All right. On the top, Bitcoin, middle, ADA, XYO. Mark down. Mark down. Mark down. Accumulation. Again, that's the bottoming structure. Accumulation. Accumulation. Sign of strength. tells you that the bottom is firmly in. Here it is. SOS. Sign of strength. Okay? Let's make it clear so everyone can see where we're at. Sign of strength. So this is Bitcoin from 2013 through 2017. This is ADA from 2021 through present. This is XYO from 2021 through present. Most of the altcoins look like this. That's why I'm bringing it up. Backtest, reaccumulate. Backtest, reaccumulate. Okay? Let's circle it so we can see. That's the reaccumulate. That's the reaccumulate. That's the reaccumulate. Okay? Move higher, take out the sign of strength. Move higher, take out the sign of strength. Move higher, take out the sign of strength. Okay? You kind of gruel down. Big backtest. Bitcoin, it was very violent. Gruel down, backtest. Gruel down, backtest. Okay? Now, here's the end of the story. You start to make higher lows. You start to gruel your way out of here. And what we know about crypto, it is boring. It is grueling until, ladies and gentlemen, it is not. That's the end of the story. Okay? Most of the altcoins is right here. That's where ADA is, in my opinion. That's where ICP is, in my opinion. That's where Link is, in my opinion. That's where XYO is, in my opinion. That's where any, meeny, mighty, mo, throw a dartboard at. That's where it's at. Okay? Same setup. What do you think of alts, May alts? I think they're going to perform very well. Would you wait to long alts? I'm in longs right now. New to the program. Where can I buy Solnic? You can buy Solnic on Radium, Jupiter. The easiest way is Soulflare or Phantom Wallet. You send in Solana to a Phantom wallet or a Soulflare wallet, and then you swap it natively on the app. It's SOLNIC. XTZ9 is the last four. In the very near future, you're going to be able to buy it on Google. You don't think your kings will get crushed if Bitcoin drops? That's possible, right? So you got to have your stop losses in order. But what I'm betting, I could be wrong. I get things wrong all the time. What I am betting, though, is the altcoins are going to outperform Bitcoin moving forward, including the dips, because of distribution on Bitcoin dominance. So I could see a pullback with Bitcoin, and the alts will pull back if that happens. But also what I know about Bitcoin, it is boring until it is not. And when it breaks from these structures, it does so violently, right? When it gets compressed and repressed and you're on these lower low structures and these lower high structures, when it finally breaks out of there, it does it violently. Okay, this isn't the only one. When you break a structure, when you break a markdown and it starts making higher lows, it does the breakage violently. Okay? At some point, that will happen. I'm not necessarily predicting that is what's going to happen, but it's on the table for sure. Why is it these charts line up like that is the market makers? That's right, because it is the market makers. It's all the apex predators. Cali XC, thank you for the goat and the lightning, bro. You savage.
But the cream will rise to the top. Oh, yeah.
Solnic is on base also. Yes. Solnic is on base. Solana is the main one. The main chain is Solana. It's also on AVAX. Solana can mix a Pepe and Sonic. Yes, it's a meme, but it's also BYOB. So we have staking coming out. There's a documentary coming out. BYOB, and that goes over the 2008 financial crisis. Everyone kind of knows about that, but the sort of forgotten story of the financial crisis is the small Midwestern towns and how they were just crushed by the big banks and by big pharma. And that was my town. And so I showcase why these tools are important to me. And what are the tools? BYOB means to be your own bank. It's an FU to the man. Be your own bank. What does that mean? It means you're going to be able to stake. You're going to be able to lend, borrow, liquidity mine, all the things that Wells Fargo, PayPal, and all these major institutions have access to. But instead of needing tens of millions of dollars of capital to access it, you're going to be able to access it with $10. XRP good crypto. XRP is one of my bigger holdings. I'm very thankful for XRP. I was able to buy my farm because of XRP. Jay says how? How what? I don't think it's a good idea necessarily to have all your money in one crypto, but I have a lot of money in XRP. Do you think alts will have a new all-time high when Bitcoin dominance falls? Yes. The question is when. What should I do? Sell XRP right now and buy later on, or just keep holding? No, I think that, listen, Oscar, I just had somebody message me today. I'm not going to put people on blast. Certainly, never will do that about their personal issues or anything like that. But listen, I promise you, today, someone messaged me today. No joke, today. Someone messaged me today and said that they needed help because they had the great idea to sell when Bitcoin was at 75K because they were going to rebuy it lower. And guess what? Lower never came. It's always a great idea in theory. I rarely see it happen in practice. Rarely. I cannot count on one hand from thousands of people that it's actually worked out that way. In my opinion, the best thing is to DCA, dollar cost average. Find your fundamental projects that you believe in, long-term, short-term, and long-term, more importantly, that you're okay if they come down 10, 20%, 30%, whatever. You believe in what they're doing. $4.63 million market cap. Is that Solnick? Somewhere in that neighborhood, yeah. Can you please look back and see what I asked earlier? Some gains to be made before euphoria in November. Take profits, price targets, wait to buy back. Yeah, if you get big movements, right? That's different than trying to time things up. Right? If you get a project that you're holding and it does a 2, 3, 5, 10x, yes, take profit. And then if you get opportunities to buy back later, that's different than trying to time things up when it's boring and buy back lower. All right. Yearn Finance brother. How's the gold market made? How is the gold? Okay, we'll look at Yearn Finance. I want to read this. Justin says, how is gold market made? Like, what makes it go up and down? The same thing as every market. Price equals supply plus demand. That's it. It's really like people make it this super complicated thing, and it's not. What determines the value of gold? We determine the value of gold. That's it. Price equals supply plus demand. If more people are selling gold than buying, the price of gold will go down. If more people are buying than selling, the price of gold will go up. That is it. On average, the inflation on gold is about 2%, 1.8%. What does that mean? That means what they find in the earth every year is about 1.8%. Sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less. But that's where the Federal Reserve's target of 2% comes from. It's a whole different thing. It's a whole different conversation. It's very artificial. It's BS, basically, the inflation. But what they try to present it as when they say 2%, even though it's BS and how they measure it, it's a whole different can of worms. But what they try to present it as is what gold's actual inflation is, which is about 1.8%. Where is Solnick and Wyckoff? Accumulation. Right? It was in a okay, let's bring it up. It's at the bottoming structure. Same thing. Where is Solnick and Wyckoff? Accumulation. So this was your distribution. Markdown, accumulation. We have broke the downtrend. When you break the downtrend, sometimes it does it very violently. I'm not predicting that that's what it's going to do. It's at the 236. I always consider 236 excellent, excellent value. Whereas ETH right now, same thing. ETH has just barely broken the downtrend. ETH, most of the altcoins, I got to be honest and be frank, they are a beat behind Bitcoin, but that's a good thing. Bitcoin's a little bit more ahead in accumulation, where most of the altcoins are just a beat behind. All right, let's look at Yearn Finance. Someone asked me about that. This is accumulation too, right? This is accumulation. You don't need to be a nerd like me. You could just view accumulation as a... Here's what accumulation is if I had to oversimplify it for you, right? You have a downtrend, and then you break it, and you trade sideways. That's accumulation. So I think Yearn Finance is doing that too. Retracement is a 4x. Parabolic is a 18x. Everything will retrace. Not everything will go parabolic. When you sell tops and converge to USDC, do you recommend waiting for bottoms and then buying? I generally like to wait for a break of a downtrend. Me personally, I don't like to be greedy. Okay, this is a really good question. Let's back up, and I'm going to answer this question. This is a great question. All right. And we see this with Bitcoin all the time. And I'm going to just tell you how I approach things. I'm early. I'm early on selling, and I'm early on buying. I generally DCA in, and I DCA out. And the reason is... what I want to see is a selling climax and a break of a downtrend. I was buying Bitcoin, example. I started aggressively buying Bitcoin after the Luna. Okay? So June of 2022, Bitcoin got to 18,000. I bought all of this. Just for an example. So when I sold my Bitcoin, and I'm going to tell you when I sold it last cycle too. I've talked about this publicly, about $50,000. Maybe right in here. That's when I sold all of my crypto. Did I get the absolute top? No, I did not. I sold some of it, though, because I was DCAing. But the average price I got was about $50,000. When I got back in, when I started aggressively buying, was about $18,000. You know what that means? That means I was buying all of this. When we came back, when FTX collapsed, I was below my price. I was red. I was accumulating all of this, all of this, all of this. Okay? So me, I look for ranges of accumulation. And the point of this is people will be greedy at the top and they will be greedy at the bottom. It's disguised when you get at the bottom, it's disguised as fear. But how it actually manifests itself a lot of times. And just think about what just happened when Bitcoin was at $75,000, right? What happens? People think they're going to wait for a certain price and then they're going to buy it, right? That's what you hear. When Bitcoin gets to 60K, then I'll buy it. No, you're not. No, you're not. It was the same thing. When Bitcoin pulled back to $15,500 in 2022, everyone who was in crypto at the time, you know what they were saying? At the bottom. They were like, I'm going to buy it at 10K. I'm going to buy it at 12K. That's greed. Okay, so for me, I would rather be a day early and $1 short. Start DCAing a little bit too early. Start DCAing out a little bit too early, right? I've been early on out. Pinlink, I was a little bit early. Sui, I was a little bit early, right? There's a lot of projects that were parabolic back in November, and I was saying to take profit. It was a little bit early. That's okay. You just need to be in the right flavor. You don't need to get the exact bottom and the exact top. You don't need to do that. Just be in the right flavor, and you can make a lot of money. All right. How does someone join the Dolphin Club? You need to have 1 million Sonic, then type / Dolphin in the main Telegram, and then you can prove that you're a Dolphin. I'm a beginner. How can I learn about charts? How to do longs and shorts in crypto? I post all of my, so I post weekly in the private Telegram. I have a full course in there. I post all of my trades, and that's what I teach. I teach how to do exactly what I do. So there we go. All right, let's go back. It's the same people say they're waiting for bullish confirmation, always waiting. That's right. 100%. 100%. You don't need to time it up perfectly. Just be in the right flavor. Be okay with being wrong by 10, 20%. It's okay. If you're wrong by 10, 20%, it's fine. It will work itself out, because ultimately, if you take a step back, what is the macro game that you're doing? What is the macro game that we're playing? We're playing the game that this is going to be devalued over time. They're going to print more and more and more of this. That's the game that we're playing. So if you're wrong by 10 or 20% for a season, it's okay. It's all right. Just be patient and stick to your plan. Can Solnick make a lower low? At some point it will, right? But I don't think that that's the season that we're in. And what I know about Solnick is I'm going to be pushing that, developing that for the next 10, 20 years. Again, take a step back. That's my time horizon on Solnick, is not what happens the next week. But I do think it's deep in accumulation, and it's working on a bottoming structure, or a bottom structure. Past tense. Right now, it's a higher low, 3 in a row. So no, I do not think so. Are we still in accumulation zones for ETH and Solana? Okay. ETH, definitely. And ETH has actually been just beaten down. A lot of the ecosystem of Ethereum, I think, has really suffered because of Ethereum's lackluster performance. But this has been on a downtrend, and it's broken this downtrend. This is a clear break. So to me, this is most likely your selling climax. If this is not it, right? We'll see how this reacts. Is it going to react violently? Excuse me. Is it going to react violently, or is it going to get a proper accumulation? Either way, I do think that this is the bottom, because it's broken out of the downtrend. And macro, it's below the 236. 236 is what I consider to be excellent value. So Ethereum, I would say yes. Solana. Let's look at the market cap of Solana. This is a reaccumulation schematic to me. This price right here, on the price, it broke out of this range. On market cap, it did not, though. That's why it's important to pay attention to market cap. It's a less clear picture on Solana, as Ethereum is way more clear to me. But I think that this is a reaccumulation schematic. XRP $5 to $8. Thoughts on LCX? I like LCX. It has the same setup as ADA, XYO, ICP, all the other coins that we talked about, similarity to Bitcoin in 2013, right? ICP prediction, low case, $35, medium case, $100, bull case, $140. AVAX is also an accumulation. Just couldn't get an idea of when to exit before correction coming to the moon. All right, we're going to check. We're going to switch to members only on TikTok. You guys have been behaving pretty good, but we're not gonna risk anything. So make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow me on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch. I'm live on YouTube right now. Thoughts on Chainlink? I like Chainlink a lot. I'm in a long on Chainlink right now. Presence tense. But to me, Chainlink has the exact same setup as Bitcoin and everything else, right? So we'll just show you Bitcoin from We'll show you again Bitcoin 2013 through 2017. We just talked about it. It's the same setup though. All right, 2013 through 2017, and then on the bottom we're going to show link. Okay, so look, on the top is Bitcoin from 2013 through 2017. On the bottom is link from 2021 through present. Markdown. By the way, Link had one of the cleanest accumulations I've ever seen. In fact, in my course, a lot of what I was teaching about was Link's accumulation. It was very, very clean. One of the cleanest accumulations I've ever seen. Sign of strength, right? Sign of strength, same thing. Let's make it clear for you guys. It's the same. SOS. Then you get a back test, reaccumulate, back test, reaccumulate. Move higher goes higher than the sign of strength. Move higher goes higher than the sign of strength. Back test again, and then you start to make your higher lows, grueling out of there, and then you get your mark up. So macro, the next macro move for Link to me is that. That's not tomorrow, next week, but that's the next macro move in my opinion. Crazy how cash is becoming obsolete. My local stadium doesn't accept cash anymore. Exactly. It's a good point, Dan. All right. What up with Render and Quant? All right, so same thing though, by the way, like look, here's an example of Render. All right, I just want to show you too, because man, dude, this chart is everywhere. You see it once, you see it 1,000 times. Again, so we got Render on top. Render's a little bit ahead, right? Render's a little bit ahead, and it's going back into reaccumulation. So let's go back to... like we just showed Bitcoin. It doesn't matter. We can show whatever. On the bottom is Bitcoin again. It's the same setup. Right? Same thing again. Markdown, accumulation, sign of strength, back test, move higher, back test again, and then boom. Boom. All right, so now this is distribution, and then it looks like it's working on reaccumulation again. I think that 980 is the retracement, and parabolic is $31. What up, Ski? What's up, fam? What's up, brother? Quant to me is an excellent value here. I like Quant a lot here. Let's look at quant. I will be live tomorrow. I'm going to put it out. It's either going to be 3 to 5 or it's going to be 6 to 8. Quant has been on a big downtrend and uptrend at the same time for the past few years. This is a super macro. What we need to do is make a higher low here. Quant is a pretty good. Yeah, this is a really good macro setup, but ultimately it's just still accumulating. Retracement is $300. Parabolic is $700 to $1,300. Switch that. All right. But yeah, I'll put it out. Here's my schedule for the rest of the week. Tomorrow's the only one that's going to be up for the grabs. It's either going to be 6 to 8 or 3 to 5. I will put it out. I'll tweet it. I'll put it on Instagram, whatever I'm going to do. But Thursday will be 5 to 7 p.m. Friday is going to be 9 to 10:30 a.m. and then 6 to 8 p.m. Saturday is going to be 4 to 6 p.m. and then I'll be off on on Sunday. But that is going to be it for this time, guys. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow me on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch. I appreciate each and every one of you guys. Who's going to start for the Browns? Me. They're putting me back there. Strap it up, boys. We'll see. But yeah, that's going to be it for this time. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, follow me on TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch. I go live every single day, 5 to 6 days per week. I upload daily videos now, 10 to 20 minutes long, and then I try to upload 5 to 6 shorts per day. So lots of really good value. So make sure you guys drop a follow. 6 to 8 tomorrow is good. It's either going to be 6 to 8 or 3 to 5. I will put it out. All right. But that's going to be it for this time. Peace, love, prosperity. God first. God bless.
Damn, hustling.